Hello, my name is Iona McMahon, and I'm a student of EN218, Contemporary American Literature since World War II. One of the stories we read for this class is The Flowers by Alice Walker. This story was published in 1973, 8 years before ASL was allowed in deaf schools. Before 1975, deaf students were segregated and put into oralist deaf schools. Deaf kids who were caught using ASL in school were beaten and had their hands tied behind their back. Education in these deaf schools was very limited, and many deaf kids experienced language deprivation as a result. But many people don't know that ASL is a full language with its own syntax and grammar. Deaf people have a rich culture with deaf literature and ASL poetry. I grew up experiencing literature like this, and I want to share this method with our class. This is my performance of The Flowers by Alice Walker. It seemed to Myop, as she skipped lightly from hen house to pig pen to smokehouse, that the days had never been as beautiful as these. The air held a keenness that made her nose itch. The harvesting of corn and cotton, peanuts and squash, made each day a golden surprise that caused excited little tremors to run up her jaws. Myop carried a short, knobby stick. She struck out at random at chickens she liked and worked out the beat of a song on the fence around the pig pen. She felt light and good in the warm sun. She was 10, and nothing existed for her but her song, the stick clutched in her dark brown hand, and the ta-dee-ta-ta-ta of accompaniment. Turning her back on the rusty boards of her family's sharecropper cabin, Myop walked along the fence till it ran into the stream made by the spring. Around the spring, where the family got drinking water, silver ferns and wildflowers grew. Along the shallow banks, pigs rooted. Myop watched the tiny white bubbles disrupt the thin black scale of soil and the water that silently rose and slid away down the stream. She had explored the woods behind the house many times. Often in late autumn, her mother took her to gather nuts among the fallen leaves. Today, she made her own path, bouncing this way and that way, vaguely keeping an eye out for snakes. She found, in addition to some various common but pretty ferns and leaves, an armful of strange blue flowers with velvety ridges and a sweet suds bush full of the brown, fragrant buds. By 12 o'clock, her arms laden with sprigs of her findings, she was a mile or more away from home. She had often been as far before, but the strangeness of the land made it not as pleasant as her usual haunts. It seemed gloomy in the little cove in which she found herself. The air was damp, the silence close and deep. Myop began to circle back to the house, back to the peacefulness of the morning. It was then she stepped smack into his eyes. Her heel became lodged in the broken ridge between brow and nose, and she reached down quickly, unafraid to free herself. It was only when she saw his naked grin that she gave a little yelp of surprise. He had been a tall man. From feet to neck covered a lot of space. His head lay beside him. When she pushed back the leaves and layers of earth and debris, Myop saw that he had large white teeth, all of them cracked or broken, long fingers, and very big bones. All his clothes had rotted away except some threads of blue denim from his overalls. The buckles of his overalls had turned green. Myop gazed around the spot with interest. Very near where she'd stepped into the head was a wild pink rose. As she picked it to add to her bundle, she noticed a raised mound, a ring, around the rose's root. It was the rotted remains of a noose, a bit of shredding plow line, now blending benignly into the soil. Around an overhanging limb of great spreading oak clung another piece. Frayed, rotted, bleached, and frazzled, barely there, but spinning restlessly in the breeze, Mayop laid down her flowers, and the summer was over. There's no right way to enjoy a story, but stories can't be shared and enjoyed unless they're accessible to everyone. Today, only 2% of children worldwide have access to education. Here are the names of some organizations working to help deaf literacy worldwide. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.